right, so good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. If you're joining us for the first time today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And I am particularly excited because today marks the final day, our final of 3 epic days of our Nature for All Global Festival. So I am the new Canadian coordinator for the Nature for All Network. This is over 500 nature organizations around the world committed to both preserving the natural world and making sure that you guys have as much access to it, as many different perspectives on it as possible, and can fall in love with it the way that we all have over the decades to come. So today's programs are all about perspective, and I'm really excited to dive in and kick off the festivities with our first speaker of the day, and that is Tracy Moore, who has the coolest job name in the world. She is the Expedition Education Manager. She gets to go with amazing youth all around the globe on expeditions to some of the most remote and incredible places on this planet and teach them all about the world around them and so much more. We are going to learn today about the SOI Foundation, earlier known as Students on Ice to many students who might be familiar with that name, Foundation Story. So they do expeditions to the Arctic, the Antarctic, amazing places in between. And we're going to learn a little bit about their amazing work to foster some cross-cultural connectivity, to educate people about the wider world around them, and so much more. So without further ado, Tracy, thank you so much for joining us today, and take us away.
Thanks so much, Jesse. I'm very excited to be here. This is one of my less remote locations today. I'm coming to you from the Gatineau Hills, so just north of Ottawa. And talking about nature and talking about presence, I think it's important to acknowledge that I'm coming to you from the unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to share this land, to work and to play and to raise my family on this territory. So let's jump into some of the stuff that I brought for you today, because the photos are how we communicate what we do. And the photos of the earth and of nature are so big in terms of connecting and that presence. So our expeditions over the last 20 years have taken participants, like Jesse said, to the Arctic, the Antarctic, and so many places in between. These journeys are amazing, and we want to ensure that we share this not only with the people on expeditions, but the people viewing online like you and the people all around the world. So this is one of the reasons that we have tons and tons of photos of what we do, and we prioritize taking photos over taking things. It's really important to preserve what is there for the people ahead of us. So the photo I have on the screen, this is a photo of us on the Ocean Endeavour. It's one of the ships that we've used for expeditions in the past. Now we're sailing into the Ilulissat Ice Fjord in Greenland. Quick question to throw it out there, get everybody moving. What is a fjord? Does anybody know?
Ooh. So we're getting people up a little early today. If any of our folks on YouTube want to share in the chat, we've got our 3 classes live in the background. So Mr. Douglas, Ms. Forsyth, Ms. Langer, if you guys want to share in the chat, what do we think a fjord is? In fact, Ms. Langer's class, I'll come to you guys. You're our young ones today, so you're more inclined to answer questions on the fly. Ms. Langer, you guys know what a fjord is?
What is a fjord? I don't know.
We're not sure. We're walking. Bunch of water. Okay, where is the water? I like how we can keep throwing stuff out. If anyone wants to share in the chat, great, but this is great. So Tracy, tell us, we're a little unsure what a fjord is at 10 a.m.
Well, definitely. It's a bit early to know about what a fjord is. So absolutely. So fjord is a deep, narrow, elongated sea or a lake drain with steep sides on all 3 sides, or steep land on all 3 sides. So often ships can go into fjords. You know, in this picture is in Greenland, so there's a lot of ice in this fjord, but we have fjords in Canada. We have some amazing fjords on the Labrador coast, like the Saglak Fjord in the Torngat Mountains. That's somewhere that one of our ships have been on our expeditions. So all of these great, amazing things you'll get to learn about either on the SOI YouTube page, or maybe if you get a chance to come on expeditions, you might be able to sail into a fjord. How cool would that be? So part of the Students on Ice experience is exploring some of these amazing outdoor features. Exploring and inviting people into nature is how we started, and it's one of the objectives that still reigns so true after 20 plus years of our expeditions. So let's get into what we do. So it's really important. I mean, our mission is inspiring and connecting, empowering leaders for the sustainable future. Youth is at the core of what we do. Embracing nature, bringing youth into nature is so important. And this is how we have made our mission a real reality for us over 20 years, going to the Arctic, the Antarctic, and maybe some new places in the future. You never know. So how have we done that, and what does the impact look like? So 36 expeditions, over 3,000 youth, 52 countries of youth that have been able to come, and our goal is really on impacting youth and the planet. And we find so many different ways to be able to do that. One of our main ways to do that is through the expedition programs that we do. It's really the core of what we do. So here you'll see that this is a Zodiac cruise. There's a man standing right in the middle, super, super cool guy, George Woodhouse from our Parks Canada team, brought his guitar on expedition. We're out in the middle of the ocean, just having a jam guitar session. It's that amazing, and it can be that much fun being out in nature and connecting with different people. So a lot of the people that we bring on expeditions have a lot of different experience. They come from a lot of different areas. So here you'll see a circle. This is again in Greenland. A lot of people are gathering and connecting. We bring elders, historians, researchers, scientists, and youth like you guys from all across Canada and all over the world. Everybody brings a different piece with them. It's the identity, it's the perspective, it's the information that they bring. And it's really, really important to what we do. We travel to areas where we make sure that we're involving the community, we're involving researchers, we're involving people, because people are at the core of sharing. They're sharing those ideas, they're sharing those perspectives. And we want to be able to share that with people and continue on knowing about all these amazing areas to go. Some of the ways that we share, so we bring so many people together. If we're looking at something, we're not looking at just a plant from the perspective of a plant. We're looking at it from how has this influenced a community? What can elders share with us on how this plant has helped their community over hundreds and thousands of years? How can we get botanists involved to show us what are some of the pieces of the plant that have evolved over time? What are some of the important parts? And then how can we use it in art and expression? So how, you can see here, how can we draw about it and remember it and represent it in different ways? So we don't just learn about something from seeing it. We try to engage youth with it and everybody on expeditions in so many different ways. It's really important in getting a full picture of the vastness of the nature in Canada and throughout the world. So we do this from a couple of different perspectives. We've got a history side, a society, culture, art. You saw some of the art pictures, and science. We want to make sure that when we're in nature, we're thinking and looking and experiencing everything, because it's not just one-sided. There's so much involved. Hopefully people are a little more awake. I got another question for you. Anybody know what this kind of seal is, or where we might find this seal?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. Youth leadership class, Mr. Douglas's group. I know you guys are grade 11, 12s. But if you want to chime in, you can either unmute your mic or you can type in the chat. Miss Forsyth's class, grade 9s, feel free. Miss Langer's class. Again, we've got a wide array of ages today, which is exciting for our class. I don't know. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen in terms of a seal. But Miss Langer's group, you guys look closest to the mic. What do we think?
They think it's an Arctic seal.
An Arctic seal. I think it's a good name anyway. Now, is there an Arctic seal, Tracy?
An Arctic seal or a common seal, but that's not who this little dude is. Any other guesses?
Youth leadership group, what do you guys think?
We're wondering if it might be a ring seal.
Ring seal, not a ring seal, but a very good guess. So we're going a little north. This seal lives a little south.
I don't know if there's an Antarctic seal. Might not be a name. I don't know if a lot of people would know this one, actually. This is something that I only learned about a couple of years ago, so I'm excited for you to tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, this is a Weddell seal. So these Weddell seals are traditionally found in Antarctica. This is a photo that was taken on one of our Antarctic expeditions. So yeah, neat little guys. You can learn so much about them, again, on our YouTube page or by Googling them. But yeah, this is a Weddell seal. I got another question. I got a video that goes along with it, because learning about nature means thinking and having ideas. And anybody know why icebergs are blue?
Ooh, all right, Miss Forsyth, I know some of your class had to go. Miss Langer, we'll start with you guys again. What do we think? And Miss Langer, you can repeat it because they're a little far from the camera.
Oh, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, so I'll say they said that they think it's a reflection from the water because the sky is blue.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got blue sky means blue icebergs from the water. I don't know. Anyone else have any thoughts? Feel free in the chat, either places. Dun, 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 dun. I won't do the whole song. We don't want to get taken out here. Copyright infringement. Cool. I don't know. I'm going to say because water is inherently blue. If you've seen water in certain fashions, it is blue if you get enough of it. That's why we get the blue of the oceans, of the seas. And so as it condenses, you get that blue look. That's my pitch out to the world. What do you think, Tracy? I think
You very, very good questions. It does have to do with water. And you know what? It's a great question that even some of the youth on expedition had a difficult time answering, and they were right next to the icebergs. So before I answer it, I'm going to give you a neat little video of one of the questions that we asked the youth, and it is around, why do they think icebergs are blue? So stay tuned. Let's see if we can get this going. Here we go. Let's see what they have to say.
I'm not too sure about this one. It's a really good question.
In the Arctic, the ocean is very blue. It's like very bright blue, so I think it's just reflecting.
So if you look at the water, it's like this brilliant blue color. So I think as it heats up and the water, like the ice melts a little bit inside, like the color of the water shows through more.
I think ice is more blue because it's getting warmer.
Maybe because of how the water is like really pure here, purer than in the city where there's like chemicals.
That's a sign that there's something changing about it and that it's starting to melt from the bottom to the top.
I think the icebergs are blue because sometimes the animals might want to have fun and they use the water to paint them. Who knows?
So basically it's to do with how much air that you have within the ice. So when you look at snow, it's very white, it's very reflective. Whereas if you look at the melt ponds and so on, they're very blue because they don't have the kind of air gaps between them. So it will look kind of blue where you've had water trickle down and melt between the snow. And you also sometimes get it where you get wind. So you get large blue ice areas in Antarctica where you've got wind scouring the ice and it's taking away those little kind of snow crystals that would otherwise reflect the light and look white.
Oh, there we go. So there we go. Jesse, you weren't far off. It has to do with water. It has to do with the presence of water in ice. And so that's why the snow that you see maybe in your yard, if you're in a community that gets snow, doesn't look as blue as the ice and the snow in the icebergs because there is so much water present from melting, from thawing, from freezing again, all that kind of stuff. So some of the great things that some of the youth and the educators have had to experience and been able to experience on expeditions. But, I know I talked a lot about expeditions. It's really at the core of what we do, but it's not the only thing we do. Nature is all around us. And while it is in the Arctic and the Antarctic, like the polar regions, there's so much more that we can be aware of and so much more presence that we can have in terms of access to nature, working in nature, and the future of nature. So one of the other big programs that is our newest program at Students on Ice is the Blue Futures Pathways program. It's a really interesting program. It engages youth in the sustainable blue economy. And I know I've asked a lot of questions and I've really tapped in, but I've heard some Ontario classes. There's a lot of water in Ontario. And I'm wondering, does anybody know what the blue economy is? Have any ideas there?
All right, I'm going to take it to our youth leadership class, 11, 12s. What do you think the blue economy is? If you guys want to unmute your mic, and even if Mr. Douglas wants to answer, go for it. Hey, guys.
Well, we're working on it.
That's a good place to be. So we've actually been taught, the blue economy has been mentioned in a couple of our programs over the course of Nature for All Festival and in our past programs. I find this fascinating. We were talking about Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. Ontario is really a unique place in the world in that we're surrounded by, if I'm not mistaken, we have the most freshwater ecosystems of like any place on the planet. We've got 5 of the Great Lakes or 4 of the Great Lakes that we touch or have substantial connections to. And so, okay, if we've had a chance to think about it, I'll bring you guys back one more time. What do we think?
Well, I think it has to do with a sustainable economy that engages with the marine and aquatic environment.
I think that's a pretty strong answer. Tracy, what do we think?
That's a fabulous answer. That's a fabulous answer. There's a lot of different ways that we can answer this question. That was an absolutely fabulous one. And the thing to remember when we're talking about the blue economy is that it's absolutely ocean, but it's also fresh water. It's all kinds of different water and ways of engaging with water. So it can be, I have a slide here that shows you some of the ways. So it can be everything from, you can see water testing to fishing to photographing a shoreline. It can be, drone research of a shoreline or of water or of fish or migrations in water. And it can be, water testing and water quality. These are all the things that are involved in the blue economy. And the importance of making it a sustainable blue economy is really preserving it for generations and years to come, and also finding more sustainable ways to engage with it. And that is a big part of what Students in ICE has been getting into. So really making sure that we're doing justice to that and finding different ways to show youth that there's so much potential within the blue economy. So all the people you can see here are engaged in it in different ways, whether it is work or volunteering or interest. And there's lots of ways that we as an organization can help you get involved in that. We have all kinds of mentoring programs. If you're interested in the blue economy, you need to check out some of our social media. We have lots of things on the go. We have online modules that classes can go through and have a look at. We have, internships. If you're, 14 to 18 or 18 to 30, we've got different kinds of specific internships, learning modules, ways that you can get engaged, and maybe consider some kind of a career or an idea for the future in terms of the blue economy. Some of the things that we've been doing is just talking about the opportunities. So this I love this. So this was Kristen. She's from Nova Scotia, and she's part of the Blue Futures Pathways program. And so this was an activity that we did where we brainstormed. We tried to think of all those different ways that you could get engaged in the blue economy in Canada and around the world. How could you do that? How could you do that from, maybe online presence? How could you get involved in that in your own community? Maybe if you want to, think about the future and go away to university, or if you want to be able to experience that maybe through tourism, if you're vacationing somewhere and you want to look at what is the blue economy doing here. You don't have to go to the ocean for it, although we do think of the ocean as the biggest blue economy, but there's all kinds of things. And Canada, we're really lucky. We have the biggest coastline. So we have so many opportunities, whether it's a frozen opportunity or whether it's a bit of a warmer opportunity where you find yourself a different time of year in Canada, it's there. And the blue economy has so much that we can focus on. But that's not all we focus on. So I know I've talked a lot about when we get people on an expedition and when we get people doing things and getting engaged. But part of the goal of what Students on ICE does, and the way that we really want to make sure we're motivating people, is we keep people involved and we keep people connected. So if you're looking at some of those ways to kind of get involved, get connected, these are some of the people and some of the places and some of the things that we've had engaged over our 20 years. So once you join Students on ICE, you're an alumni for life. We connect with you. We can support you. We can send you all kinds of places. We have so many things. I know that, Jesse, you've talked about the National Healing Forest in the past. There's a National Healing Forest initiative in Prince Edward Island that was started by an SOI alumni. So we were able to give them funds to start a nature program in their community. We also have this great group, and they're called the Climate Action Cohort. That's some of our alumni. So they do climate-related awareness or communication projects, hands-on projects all across Canada. We have a new project, our Arctic Policy Cohort. So how does policy affect nature? And how can we really work together to make policy encompass what is needed by a community, by an area, and how can we move forward to a nature positive world? So our Arctic Policy Cohort is really digging into that. We've been able to bring youth delegations to, the International Marine Protected Areas Congress, different ways that if you're passionate about getting involved with nature, that we're able to support you and encourage you along that journey and be part of it with you. One of the cool programs that I'm a huge fan of as well is the Expedition to Community program. So some of the youth that have come from more remote areas, across Canada, we're able to bring specific programming on nature or conservation or education, and it's all for youth and it's created by youth. So we don't tell them what to do. They decide on what the project is for their community and how they want to best engage people throughout that project. And our Alumni Council, the voice of youth is so important. It's the voice of the future. It's the voice of everything we're doing. So every year, we have about 8 youth from across Canada who are involved in our Alumni Council. We make sure that we connect with them on different ideas, different perspectives, thoughts moving forward. So not only is nature a big part of what Students on ICE does, but our alumni program is huge. And it's very important to us to listen and to make sure that we are, amplifying the voice of the future and that we're supporting youth in achieving what they want to be able to achieve. So just about wrapped up. There's a ton of things that we do, but I'd love to hear any questions or ideas or thoughts. But I want to also stay connected. So as Students on Ice, we really prioritize connections. We have so much that we offer on social media, on our YouTube channel. And these are some of the ways that we get involved, but we'd love to know, are there other ways that you get information online? Are there other ways that we can be communicating what we're doing? Because we have some big announcements coming down the pipe in the next little while that might be really interesting to hear. 2020, as everybody knows, was a little bit of a challenging year in terms of, bringing people together, but we're hoping to change that really, really soon. And so, bringing people back to nature is always our goal. And we have a few tricks up our sleeve as to new ways to bring people back to nature. So yeah, I can't thank you enough for listening and engaging with me today and answering all of those questions. And I'm happy to answer any more questions that you have.
Fantastic. Tracy, thank you so much for that. If you want to come out of screen share so you can see us again, have a bit of a conversation. Again, if folks are on YouTube, they want to share, please do. I know we've got a bunch of classes with us live today. Tracy, I want to kick off, I guess, with a note for our classes that are joining today. Is there an age range that you actually welcome onto these expeditions, and how do people get involved? So is it applying via your site? Is it you reaching out to them? How can some of the students in today's classes get on one of these vessels?
Absolutely. What a great question. Yeah, so our programs are generally for youth ages 14 to 24, but some of the programs are up to 30. So we do have a pretty good range. We have online applications, but you can also call us or send us an email. You can reach out to us through social media. So if you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we have a couple of different email addresses based on what you're looking to get involved in, whether it's the Blue Economy, whether it's the expeditions. So yeah, there's lots of ways to be able to get involved with us and ask us all kinds of questions. We do bring youth from all over Canada at the moment. It's normally all over the world, but for some of the programs that may be all over Canada. So any program that we have will have all of the information listed on the website as to who's eligible, when it is, what you might be doing, what are some of those things that you're going to be focusing on, all that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to give our live class another few seconds to think about things, and just to ask, why the poles? Like, why the Arctic and Antarctica? Why go there to begin with? Was this, by design? Was it because there was no one else doing anything like this at the time? I'm just really curious.
Yeah, well, it's a great question. So it's been over 20 years that Students on Ice has been doing this, and our founder and president, Jeff Green, who was on here. Oh, I mentioned that. He was on here. It was a great presentation. I watched it too in October. But so he had been leading expeditions to the poles and realized that these are life-changing, transformative opportunities. And to be able to see the nature and everything that's going on, we need to be able to get youth there to see it, to be able to affect that change. Youth are the future of everything we're doing, and we're huge proponents of that at Students on Ice. So we wanted to make sure that these areas that are remote, are hard to access, that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to access, are made accessible. So that's why on a lot of our expeditions, the costs are covered. So a lot of people are on scholarship for our expeditions because we realize that it can be prohibitive to, go on an expedition that costs a lot. So we try to make it accessible in so many ways, by bringing educators, by making funds available, but really just to get out there, because the opportunity to get out to some of these super, super remote, amazing places, it's not for everybody. So we want to make that happen.
Yeah. Very, very cool. And again, the focus on youth has really paid off. This is something that I say this in a lot of broadcasts. A lot of people assumed it would be my generation that would be the real leaders in climate and biodiversity action around the world. And we were okay, I must say. But the kids in today's classes, like grade 9 through 12 and younger, are grade 4 today. Honestly, you guys march in groups of 500,000 in cities around the world. You guys know the science. You press leaders. You do all this stuff. You don't wait for anyone to take action on your behalf. You do it by yourselves. And that's just, it's amazing to see, and a testament to the work of groups like Students on Ice. So thank you guys for all that awesome stuff. I'm going to head to our youth leadership and sustainability class. So Mr. Douglas's group, if you guys want to unmute your mic, if you have any questions of any kind, and I'll head to Miss Forsyth and Miss Langer in a second. So Mr. Douglas, if you have any questions, go for it.
What's the average price, and what are the scholarship opportunities?
Straight to the money. Thank you guys, high schoolers. I love it.
Yeah, so absolutely. So each expedition is a little bit different. They can range from anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000. And in the past, we've had 80% of our expedition costs covered. That means 80% of the youth that come on expeditions will have, will be sponsored by an organization or a group or a program. So a lot of our youth come for free.
Awesome. I love that that's our first question. Miss Forsyth class joining us in Bracebridge today. If you guys have a question for us, come on in. Hey.
We want to know if the expeditions happen during the school year or if they're summertime or when they're offered.
Absolutely. That is a terrific question. We know that education is absolutely important. Education is also at the core of what we do. So we try to prioritize looking at the times that youth are outside of school. So a lot of our expeditions happen June, July, and August so that we can make those amazing opportunities happen. Everybody can come back to their class and say, this is what I did on my summer holidays.
Awesome. All right, Miss Langer's class, come on in and go over. Hey, guys.
So we have a couple of questions.
Perfect.
We are younger, but we are here today because we are doing a collaboration project with some friends in Cameroon, Africa. And so we are already looking at these things and working with students about water. But so I will ask a question, but Tiago has a question for you first.
Oh, and you'll have to repeat that, Miss Langer. The audio is really tricky today on your computer.
Okay, so Tiago wants to know what inspired you, Ms. Moore, to do what you do.
Yeah, how did you end up in this role, Tracy?
Oh, how did I end up in this role?
Yeah,
oh my God.
You?
Yeah, well, you know what? I've always been involved in nature. It's always been something that I've done. I grew up in an area where I was able to work in Gatineau Park, which is very close to Ottawa. I've always got youth engaged in the community around them, volunteering, out doing things. And I have a background in the psychology of learning. So I've always said how people learn, why do we learn, and why is that important? And then pairing that with my love for nature, it just made so much sense to come and do one of these opportunities. But I love that you asked that for so many more reasons, because part of my job that is so amazing is that I get to talk to educators and amazing people all over the world. And when I hear about some of the journeys that they've had, it's not that they necessarily went into sciences in university. They might have had an opportunity to volunteer somewhere or be a part of a group or do some kind of activity that led them to a way to get to their future careers. So that's just how I came about it. But so many people can come about it from so many different ways. And volunteering was also a huge thing that led me here. So I think that if you have a passion and you want to find a way to go about it, it's always possible.
Nice. All right, guys, we're going to take one more question from each class. Time flies when you're having fun. Youth leadership class, Mr. Douglas, come on back in. And do you have any more? Go for it.
Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, so our teacher is really interested in this program. How do we get him to sign up to be a professor?
Yay!
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So the same way that you sign up, we have signups for adults and educators as well. So through our website, whenever we have a program or a project up, we will let people know we are looking for these kind of educators, and educators can come from every kind of background. We look for teachers. We look for people who have on the land experience, people who may have experience kayaking, canoeing, all kinds of different things. So tell your teacher or keep your eyes out yourself for some of our news that's going to be dropping, because as soon as we have an expedition, we let people know how to get involved.
Well, if I may say, having done programs with Mr. Douglas for several years now, absolute shoe-in. So you're in, man, if you want to be in. And we'll be in touch later. We can find some other cool collaborative opportunities. So thank you to the student for being willing to ask that. Ms. Forsyth's class, come on in. If you have one more for us, go for it.
We're good. We don't have any more questions.
Good. That's totally fine. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully you like our last question coming in a minute. Miss Langer's class, you guys had a second one, so we'll just be as loud as possible and go from there.
So this group are a grade 3 and 4, so they're still too young to do the expedition, but they do a lot of conservation. They go to forest school. So what are some programs that they can get involved in at this age? Because we would like to research them.
Yeah.
That is terrific. Absolutely. I know that our programs start at 14. So we're a little bit of the older age category, but some of our resources for the sustainable blue economy, we've got some modules that have come out, and they're really great resources to be able to follow along and to get that information and get those stories started, and really to think about how you would engage. How would you participate? What are the different ways that you could volunteer? We may have some news coming down the pipe for smaller age or younger age categories as well. So I'll make sure that I connect Jesse with that so that he's able to share it with you and with your class when it's ready.
I like all this like secret future stuff. Like it's all right there. It's right down the pipeline, right near the end. You can almost peer out. I appreciate the candor. So I really do encourage classes to check out your guys' website, check out the social media platforms. You guys really are engaging on all those, and you'll find out a lot more in the not too distant future. Tracy, is there, I guess, a last message for all our classes tuning in today? You highlighted all this amazing work that you guys are doing as an organization. Lots coming, of course, sort of as COVID is getting less a part of our lives slowly but surely. There's going to be more opportunities for people both in education and out on the land and in so many ways. What can we guide kids to? What's a final thing to wrap up our session today?
Oh my gosh, I think the opportunity to get out in nature, whatever that looks like to you. So right now I've got some trees behind me, but I'm in my office. I've got, actually this is a fake tree because we're in the Museum of Nature's national, we got our national archives here, so the cryobank, so I'm not allowed to bring in real trees. So I get to live with some fake trees sometimes too. But I think getting out in nature, and nature can look different for each person. If it's the opportunity to be outside, to experience something, to, have a look at some leaves, if you can get a magnifying glass around and check out what are some of the things on the leaves, why are they different, what's happening seasonally. I think there's a lot of ways that you can just have that presence outside and see what it sparks. And also, there's lots of different ways to find community. I think we've really seen that during COVID, that even if you can't geographically be connected to somebody, if you're interested in something, maybe you have to go online with your parents, maybe you're able to go online on your own, but having a look around and seeing other people interested in this too, because there's so many opportunities in your community or in communities who are experiencing things similarly or differently from you. We experience climate change a little bit differently based on where we live, but if you want to be able to support somebody or talk to somebody, there's a lot of online ways that you can find out what's going on and what communities are sharing that.
Fantastic, Tracy. Well, I lied. I said that was the wrap up, but we got two quick questions from our youth sustainability group. So they want to ask, I'll bring you guys in to have you on screen, but how long is the typical expedition and how many students are accepted per expedition? How competitive is the application process? We've got a bunch of students that want to be on your boat. I want to be on your boat, so do tell.
Absolutely. So expeditions range anywhere from 9 to 14 days. So it depends on what we're doing. Some of the expeditions in the past have gone, along the Northwest Passage. Some of them will go from Greenland over to Resolute, in Nunavut. So it really depends on the route that we're taking. And it depends on the ship that we have. So we actually made an announcement on our social media recently that we're partnering with an organization, the Mi'kmaq Horizon organization, and we are revisiting one of our most famous ships that we've worked on before, which is the Polar Prince. So it's a little bit of a smaller ship. Historically, where we've worked on really bigger ships like the Ocean Endeavor, where we might have 130 youth, but we will probably be getting into some smaller expeditions. So maybe around 25, 30. It is a very competitive process to be able to come on expeditions. Our applications do have questions where we want to know a little bit about you, a little bit about what you're interested in, what your thoughts are for the future, how we can support you in making your goals a reality. So we really want to know who people are, and we want to be able to connect with you and support you. So it is competitive, but it's an amazing experience and it's so rewarding. And once you are able to come with us, then we find ways to continue to support you throughout. And some of our programs are also open if you're not alumni as well. So, some of the after programs that you'd be able to do are for, non-alumni as well. But yeah, it's a little competitive, but what I would do is just, answer the questions in the application as best you can from your perspective, because we want to know more about you.
And I will say, having talked to people who have been on Students on Ice expeditions, it really is a fantastic transformative experience. I mean, it really impacts people for the rest of their lives. People view this as one of the most fulfilling things they've ever had a chance to be involved with in their life. So if you are interested, I really do encourage our students to take part, apply, get involved, send their teachers and just push them into getting involved. It's fantastic, guys. Until then, again, check out soifoundation.org, at Students on Ice on all social media platforms. Some amazing stuff there. And of course, because this is our Nature for All festival, if you want to check out all the amazing work that they do and their resources, natureforall.global, and their education resources at the Discovery Zone. Tracy also alluded to the amazing YouTube page, which is a very easy URL, so I will put it up on the screen, youtube.com/C/Students on Ice Foundation. So many great videos. You can see some of these incredible places firsthand, and I really can't encourage you to do that enough. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so much fun.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And if there's more questions that come in after, even if you're watching this on YouTube later, reach out to us, ask us questions on social media. That's why we're here.
Perfect. You may live to regret that if people inundate you with questions, but it's a good problem to have. So, Tracy, what we do to end every broadcast, I'm going to bring in our teacher friends to say a big thank you and goodbye with me. So, youth leadership, Mr. Douglas, Miss Forsyth, Miss Langer's class, unmute your mics, join me. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. and have a wonderful rest of your day.